Hey everybody, Bobby Medina here with my buddy Paul Barron, and today we are bringing you a very, very special trumpeter, originally from Gothenburg, Sweden. He is a brilliant jazz virtuoso as well as a very powerful lead player. He went to school at the Royal College of Music in Stockholm. He has performed with some of Sweden's biggest big bands, biggest names in big bands, like the Sandviken Big Band, the Stockholm Jazz Orchestra. He played lead with the Danish Radio Orchestra for a number of years. He has also backed up and been part of concerts and tours with the people like Bob Brookmeyer, Maria Schneider, Bob Mincer, Dave Sanborn, Clark Terry, Bill Holman, and many others. And in addition to that, he is a band leader in his own right. He leads his Lasse Lindgren constellation groups, and he has a number of wonderful recordings out with those groups as well. And he has revived the Ullvén Mute company, which was originally from Sweden back in the, started back, I believe, in the 40s sometime. So we're going to talk a little bit about all this stuff. So welcome, Lasse. Great to have you here.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here and talk to you as well.
Fantastic. Well, welcome. And, you know, one of the first things that I love to ask, and I know that, you know, Bobby and I usually ask this question, and all of our listeners love it as well, as how did you get your start playing the trumpet? What was your first influence, and what gave you the bug that meant you had to be a trumpet player?
I was in my grandmother's kitchen and the radio sang out Louis Armstrong's trumpet, beautiful sound. I was 5 years old and it blew my mind completely. How about that?
Do you remember the song that was playing?
No, sorry, I don't remember that. But the sound is still here in my brain. And I decided that's what I want to do in my life. And I've never done anything else except I play trombone as well sometimes. Otherwise, and fly fishing.
Well, you know, we interviewed somebody that you also know and have worked with, who's a dear friend of mine that I've worked with, over in Argentina, who is Gustavo Bergali. And he said the same thing. He first heard Louis Armstrong and he knew that that was his calling. So I think there's a lot of trumpet players that have heard somebody, you know, in the past. For me, it was the very first time I heard Doc Severinsen. I think I was just like, wow, you know, it was something special. And of course, after that, I heard lots of great trumpet players. And so tell us a little bit about your time with some of the great big bands in Sweden. I mean, Sweden, I'm married to a Swedish woman. I've been going to Sweden now for like 35 years. I love it there. My Swedish is terrible. I can kind of get by, but I have met and played with a lot of wonderful jazz musicians in Sweden, some other great trumpet players, but I've seen some great bands there, and you've played with some of those. So tell us a little bit about those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, after when I moved to Stockholm in beginning of the 80s, I freelanced there before I started the school at the university, and during my studies and afterwards, and during the whole 80s and 90s, I was a freelancer and played with a lot of bands, Stockholm Jazz Orchestra, as you mentioned, and the Sandviken Big Band, and also the Swedish Radio Jazz Group. And I was a member of 8 big bands during my time in Stockholm. And before I moved there, I think I was 18 years old when I had my first professional lead trumpet gig. Before in the local bands, you know, like in the West Coast. And then I played in Bohuslän Big Band. It's a very strange name, but it's a state in Sweden called Bohuslän. And they have this. We have 2 professional bands: Norrbotten Big Band, which is far up north. It's a professional full-time band, and the Bohuslän Big Band is in Gothenburg. Mm-hmm. It's another full-time employed big band. It's a great band. You know, I was lead player there and soloist. I played both chairs for 7 years. And then I was of course, I played many other bands as well. and started to play as a soloist as well. With small groups but the big bands. As you said, I went to Copenhagen.
How did you get involved in that? Copenhagen's right next door if you live down in the south.
Yeah.
But how did that?
I got a phone call from the manager, the boss of the band. I was frying meatballs, and we had time for some jokes.
Of course,
sure.
I was frying meatballs in my kitchen. The phone rang, and I picked it up. And this is the boss of he said, "Hello, I'm blah 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 from the Danish Radio Big Band. Would you like to play lead? What do you say about playing lead trumpet for the big band? What kind of bus do you have?" I asked.
The important things.
And they almost what? I think what's one more funny thing I've said. But he was stunned. But so I started playing with them for 3-4 years, whatever it was, and that was a very nice time. It was a great band and many good, wonderful experience.
Oh, I have
the
some.
First day I played with them were in Melbourne, Australia. So we rehearsed for some days, and then we just took off to Australia for 3.5 weeks tour. And then I played a lot. I played for 15 or more years in Helsinki, Finland, in the Espoo Big Band. And we also toured the whole world. And every second year we went to Brazil or China or Australia as well. And there's also states, where were we? New Orleans and Chicago, I think. We played with that band. And then I also played a lot in Europe, in Germany, with the different bands there. I subbed in the Radio Big Bands on the lead player, as a lead player, and I played in a band called Jazz Baltic Ensemble, which was connected to a festival every summer for a week or two. With this band, they picked together people from different countries around the Baltic state, the sea, Germany, blah blah blah, Finland, and.
Well, you have a wonderful recording called Baltic Waves with you and the Latvian Radio Big Band. This is a very, very nicely done, set of music. I mean, you have so many recordings out too.
That's all my music as well, my compositions. Yeah,
right.
And that's very nice band in Riga, Latvia. I've been kind of involved in starting that again. It's more than 50 years old, that band, but they put it down when the Soviet Union fell down. It was behind the wall, and but now they started like 10 years ago to build it up again. But young people, they are full-time employed now. They started employing one, and now the more and more, and it's a great band. I actually have made one more album with them that's not released. And then Micah Bene and we're planning to do another album with them.
That's cool. He's a great writer.
I'm really happy to play with them,
Well, it sounds like you've had a lot of experience playing all over the world, playing in all kind of different situations, and both playing jazz and lead and being a solo artist as well. Tell us a little bit about. I have to tell people here, because if you have been living under a rock and you don't know who Lasse is, I mean he's an amazing player, and I have one of his albums here, which is his big Constellation group, and this is an album called The Unrecorded Fox, and it is an amazing collection of tunes. Some Maynard tunes, stuff that Maynard played, and I think maybe this is stuff that he didn't, not everything he recorded, right? But the album is just amazingly done, recorded, just tremendous playing on there, but the recording, I'm really big into the production of recordings, and I just think this is a wonderful, work of art here for you. So
thank you.
When you recorded that, was that recorded in Stockholm? I didn't see where that was done.
No, it was done in the half of the album is the recording was made in Zagreb in Croatia. Okay. Yeah, because I have my own big band down there. It's not a big band. It's like that: 3 trumpets, 2 trombones, 4 saxes, and a rhythm section, and me. And the same lineup that Maynard had in his band in the 50s and 60s. And half of the record is made in Göteborg, Gothenburg, with guys there. I had my old band there, and it's the music I got from Ernie Garside, Maynard's old manager, that he gave me because he found at home and things they played but never recorded.
Wow.
There's one, not all of them, but there is one. What's the name of that? What's the name
Don't
of
let
that?
the sun.
Yeah. They recorded it, but it was never released. So, but Ernie thought we should play that anyway. And then one thing with that, this it's on the second album there. Can you read the title?
Yeah, let me see if I can find it here. The windmills of your mind.
Yeah.
Well, that's a Michel Legrand piece. It's very famous.
Right. Yeah. And the arrangement is by Kenny Wheeler, which is one of my favorite trumpet players.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Mine too.
And I knew him, and he was so fantastic. Also Canadian as Maynard. And Ernie found this arrangement, and okay. And there was the Maynard's part was missing, and one part of the piano part was missing as well. So and Kenny Wheeler was dead, has died and passed away, and Ernie didn't remember. Maynard is not here either. What can I do? But because we would played it, the sound of the arrangement is beautiful, but Maynard's part, and Ernie said, I think he was improvising. So that's what I did in the beginning. And it was kind of tricky to find out that the chords didn't fit the melody, but the arrangement. But and then I found on the backside of the drum part a single line that I figure out this has to be the end, Maynard's part in the end. It was with a pen, written. It's very scratchy, So I put that in and some kind of imitated how Kenny Wheeler will play this, or Maynard's part, this. And I'm really happy with that result, actually.
It sounds amazing. I mean, the whole album, like I said, sounds really great.
So Lasse, I want to ask you, you're known for being such a powerful player, and all. How do you keep in shape, especially during this COVID time? And how did you really build up your great strength and stamina? Can you share some of your tips with us?
Yeah, sure. I mean, what I do is when I have a workout thing that I do. I start with some pedal notes. My playing is built on the air thing, So it's for me, it's the control of the air. It's the whole thing, and I play with my body, like this. I'm not as they call a lip player. I don't fool around with the lips so much, and especially since I started playing these Maynard Ferguson mouthpieces I have, because they are so small. So that the thing is that you have to get the lip out of the mouthpiece. So I don't do the buzzing thing, but it's more or less with the air. So I start with, nowadays I play trombone in the morning, the first I do, and I start with air attack, just air to get the flow, and I go play some chromatics, melodies or arpeggios on the chords or something. Start in the middle register, going down to pedal to get, so I feel that the air is flowing, the sound comes out, and I rest in between this. I make it chromatically going down. And then I take some coffee, and then I somehow turn it around and go upstairs. And so it's, and I do this with scales or different minor chords, or different chords, instead of doing just flexibility. Or what do you call this? These exercises,
like lip slurs.
Yeah, for me, lip slurs, that's interesting. Lip slurs, for me, as I see it, is more about learning, teaching my own body where the notes are. For me, a low note is in the bell, A high note is far away, horizontal, not up there, not down. So you have to reach, control the notes this way with this body muscles, the air speed of the air, to hit the right notes. So when I'm thinking about like that, those exercises is to control how much my body has to work to learn where the notes are. Like we can do it like a blind, you feel where they are, how much.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to hit the high F sharp, you have to know the airspeed. Body has to know if you make it too much, you crack the notes upwards, That's for me the lip. They call the lip flexibilities.
Right.
But
it's more for you about creating an awareness of what your body's doing to hit those notes. Yeah, which is something really important. I mean, Paul and I have discussed this personally amongst ourselves, and we've also discussed it in a workshop, exactly those things, A lot of times, I mean, do you find that this helps? I mean, I find this helps me. I don't know if this helps anybody else, but maybe you do it as well. But for me, a lot of times when I want to get that feeling, I close my eyes and I can kind of take a picture of what my body's doing, or kind of scan my body to see what it's doing, and then associate it with whatever I got to do, whether it's a high note or whether it's some technical passage or something. Is that how you feel, or do you feel different than that? I mean, we're all different.
Yeah, I understand. I never thought about it like that, but I do. I close my eyes and pretend I'm playing in front of people, because when I practice. So that's when I close my eyes when I practice, for that purpose, not because so I don't know.
Well,
okay.
I'm curious about the time that you spend on trombone. Is that always how you start? You start with trombone first, then you do trumpet, or do you ever mix it up and start trumpet and then do trombone in the day?
Yeah, actually it started with when I was in Australia, this routine. I got myself a didgeridoo. So for a long time I started to do this morning walk, came home, breakfast, cup of coffee, and I watched television with a didgeridoo for 20 minutes. Circle breathing, and then I go to the trombone, and then I start with the pedal notes and trumpets going up, and that was until noon. That's became my routine. Now I do the trombone only, and then before lunch, and trumpet in the afternoon, because I feel it's better. I don't know.
Does that get your air for trumpet better?
It just feels better.
I
can do, but I feel in the morning, I feel trumpet just, I don't, for me, it's feel more comfortable to, to start with the trombone.
I played trombone for a while. I was doubling on it in high school, late high school, and early college. But I always felt that if I played too much trombone, it affected my trumpet playing. I know I had to balance it out in short bursts, but some people can really play both, Does it affect your trumpet playing at all?
Of course, if I play 10 minutes trombone and take up the trumpet immediately like that, it's a little bit hard. But for me, it works, because if I practice trombone as much as I practice the trumpet, if I don't play trombone for a week or something, then I'm in trouble. Because I change in the middle of the tune. Maybe the first part of the melody or the solo is on trombone. I mean, I play the super bone, not a very good slide trombone, but it's valve trombone, but it's super bone with it. And then I have to play trumpet, and in the end, it's maybe the high note stuff and things like that. And if I don't have good chops for the trombone, I cannot do that. Then I fucked up the trumpet, in the end. But if I practice trombone, it works on the trumpet,
Okay. Cool.
That's for me.
Well, that's interesting. Well, tell us a little bit more. I want to ask you. We'll switch gears here and just ask you a little bit about the Ullvén Mute Company. which has had a great reputation over the years. And then they kind of disappeared. And, they had Dizzy Gillespie playing their mutes, and of course Maynard as well. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved with the company? And now you've basically single-handedly revived this thing. So tell us a little bit about that journey.
This mute has always been the mutes for me. I remember that my first mute when I was 8 years old was one of those. And later, my mother started to take care of his bookkeepings, like an accountant. And through her, I got to learn to know him, the old man. He was born in 1901 or something. He was 90 years old almost when he died in 1989. But in the 70s, he was making mutes for Dizzy, and I don't think Maynard used those mutes then, but he did in the 60s, in the early 70s, and and then when he died, his co-worker, the guy who inherited the company, he got together with two guys in another town in the West Coast. The family name is Grönvall. They started to do it again for like 10 years, and then they had other jobs, like different other careers. So the company fell asleep. And then a friend of mine who wanted to have one of my stubby mutes that I designed 25 years ago, he called me and asked me if I could find one of those mutes. So I can try and call them, and I did. And then they said, it's so pity because we have this brand, this name, and blah, blah, and the mutes are good products and everything. And we have no time for it. Would you like to take over? And I said, of course, yes. And that was 1 year ago. So now
wow.
I'm doing
That's
my
amazing.
best.
You're like a kid in a candy store there, right? I bet you're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's fun, of course, but it's confusing as well. I'm not a businessman, and I'm a trumpet player. I don't know anything about it.
Well, the cool thing is that you are a trumpet player, and the mutes are fantastic. And not only are they great mutes, but you test and approve every mute before it ever leaves the factory.
So we've been talking about these mutes and how Lasse has single-handedly revived this company, and we're really excited about the mutes. They play fantastic, and if you want to learn some more about it, we've done individual play testing and reviews of them, which we'll post up as well on the different mutes. So there's another product that we'd also like to introduce you to that Lasse makes that from the old Ullvayne company as well. It's Poppy's valve lubricant. So can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, it is a product that works very well with the valves. And 1958, when Dizzy met Gunnar Ulvayne and with the mutes, Roy Eldridge were also playing in the Jazz at the Philharmonic, and he fell in love with the Poppy valve thing. And since then, Ulvayne has made this, and I liked it so much. I used to have this when I was a kid as well, and so I decided I will do this because it works very good. And you have the bottles there. I don't have that in front of me, the small one. The idea is that you can. From the beginning, that he made this bottle, and you can dip the valve in, and screw it off and dip it in here. That's what's the concept. But now I have this bottle that you can just unscrew the cork or cap or whatever you say and dip it, or you can squirt it. What do you say?
Squirt,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, squirt it onto the valves.
Into the instrument. I usually dip it, or it's important that you also clean the horn when you start to use it first. Clean it, and then it's available with a small bottle. It's 100 milliliters, and half a liter. It's a little bit bigger. Now I have this cap on this one. What do you call this cap with this squirt? I don't know. Okay, it's a secret name. So I have this 1 liter. It's kind of a refill system. So you can buy the small bottle, and then you can order this one. Yesterday I shipped 3 or 4 bottles to the States and 1 to Italy. actually. So it's getting popular, and then you can buy the bigger one. I also have a concept that you can buy for the trumpet section. You can buy the big one, and you have 4 small ones, and you can share this, and for the whole section, like
yeah, that's great. Yeah, absolutely.
Price for that, Yeah.
Well, I find that it works really good. I mean, I've tried it. I'm very picky about valve oils for my horn. My horn seems to have a lot of, if it were a car, it would have like 2 million miles on it now. So my valves can be a little bit finicky sometimes. And since I've tried this, they haven't been like that. So, and I even put this on my third valve slide and my first valve slide as well. And it seems to work great on there as well. So. Well, thanks so much for sharing all this stuff. And we're going to put links for everybody to Lasse's site here. And we encourage you to check out some of these cool products. And like Paul said, we'll be posting up some really cool reviews here featuring Lasse with some of the, about some of the mutes and some of the specialty items that he has. So thanks so much for being here, Lasse, and for being part of our group. Really great to see you again.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao. Take care.